Well, all right. Welcome to this coffee with Tyler without coffee.
And without donuts.
And without donuts, I know.
Yeah, well.
I'm really slacking if you just came from the 1 o'clock meeting.
I know.
Where we celebrated the Bergs and the treasure chest and all the great things that have been going on there. So, what is on everybody's mind?
Well, where are we with COVID?
Where are we with COVID? Never thought that question was going to come up. No, I'm just kidding. No joking aside, but COVID is still obviously very present outside these walls of East Castle Place, and it's still present inside these walls too. We've had some staff members, have COVID, contracted. What we're seeing is it's happening outside these walls, right? It's the staff members that are potentially bringing it in. Because they're going out and about living lives. Again, 98% of the staff are vaccinated. We're probably nearing that 50% mark that are boosted as well. From a resident standpoint, we're 100% vaccinated. From the boosted side, I want to say Teresa was gathering some statistics. We're probably in that 90+% from resident standpoint. So doing very, very well. Hey, Pat. But with that being said, where are we at from East Castle, from activities and dining room, things of that nature. And so, although COVID is still pretty high from a county rate, we've dipped a little bit from last week, but we're still high. I haven't checked the numbers today, but I'm sure it's probably north of 20%. What we're seeing is very much cold-like symptoms. That is what's being presented from the Omicron variant that's so transmissible. We're not seeing, and that's what vaccinated residents or vaccinated individuals are feeling, that cold-like symptoms. Some feel like it's a really bad cold. I've had a couple friends say it's kind of knocked them on their butt for a day or two, but not in the hospital. What I saw some stats from Freighter and some individuals that I've spoken to there, they're saying 3 out of every 4 cases that end up in the hospital right now are the unvaccinated folks. And they're generally being shipped down really from the northern parts of Wisconsin because the hospital systems up there are at capacity, or they don't have the Freighter type of technology, equipment, healthcare, and so they're really restricted. So with that being said, we are still planning to open up the dining room February 1st. So I know January 31st was kind of that date. February 1st just makes more sense because billing cycles restart February 1st, and also it's a Tuesday, and just gives us kind of that runway. So February 1st, we are planning the dining room to be open. Now we will still ask that as you're walking around the campus to wear your masks to the dining room. And then we are working through, and we will have reservations in place that may limit the number of individuals that can dine at one time. So do expect a call from Mary or Sam if all of a sudden we're saying dining room's a little too tight, we're going to back off and we're going to expand it. We're going to do our best. The reason why and the thinking behind opening up the dining room is restaurants are still open. The CDC and the county have not gone to shutting the restaurants down. I feel much more confident and safe in our practices here at East Castle Place because A, your neighbors across the way are vaccinated. B, that the staff that are serving you are vaccinated. And C, it's just something that I think from a standpoint of what goes into health is important. That socialization, the emotional piece. We need to start getting back into that, and so that's why February 1st is when that dining room piece is going to open. I'll also be sitting down with the Community Life Committee tonight at 4 o'clock to go over the February calendar. And what I've directed the activities team to, and what you'll see in the independent living activities calendar, is that programming is going to resume not 100% back to normal, but getting back to normal. We do have Tim Crane, who was supposed to be in January. We do have him slated for the first week of February. We do have a roving bar that we are going to have in February. It's the second weekend of February. Again, I can't say 100% this is certain, but I am going to lean that this will happen. I think that if you are uncomfortable in any of those situations, by all means, take the precautions you feel are necessary for yourself. And at the end of the day, if for some reason there's a large thought, meaning multiple individuals, residents, council members come to me and say, Tyler, this isn't working, we'll recourse at that point. But I think at some point, Omicron, COVID, unfortunately that next variant that we may anticipate potentially, I think we do at some point have to also think about the physical, emotional, spiritual, all those different pieces. And unlike what we had early in COVID when we didn't know what the cases were and just shut down and we'll figure it out, I think as a county, as a community, as a country, we're still finding avenues, and we've had the vaccine and we know kind of what that has done to aid in the protection of it, and that it's not going to be gone, tomorrow. It's not going to be gone at the end of February. It's not probably going to be gone at the end of July. I've heard from some sources again that it could be like the flu, where you get a flu shot, you get a COVID shot, and maybe you've heard that as well. But that's just some of what I've been reading, and so if that's the case, I think that's something that we, as a community, need to navigate. And so again, we're going to be prudent. We're going to be, taking the safety steps that need to be taken. That's why we shut the dining room down when we did. But at the same time, I think we are starting as well to continue to grasp this and understand that, again, from a staffing standpoint, it's not rooted at East Castle Place. Staff aren't coming to East Castle Place getting COVID and going out. It truly is the opposite. The positive piece is, even with that contracted, if they contracted, the spread isn't as large with the vaccine. Don't ask me what the science is behind, but I do know that these masks are going to stay in place during this time, even as we get back to kind of that more normal. Obviously, you have to take your mask off to eat and drink, and that's assumed. But again, if you're walking around the community, we do ask it, and we will maintain that. In the health center areas, for our employees, you can be assured that they will remain masked. Our testing protocols have enhanced, meaning that we're testing twice a week from an employee standpoint, so that will continue. And again, I think you as residents should be, commended as well, because you have been, if you say you have a symptom, you're hanging tight, you're staying in your apartment, because again, you know kind of what that is, and you're letting us come to you. So I applaud you for that. I think that's something that we have to continue as well. If all of a sudden we start seeing a number of residents say, I don't care, and things of that nature, which I don't anticipate, we may have to change direction. But again, I think that's something that I feel confident that we've been working through over the last 2 years, to understand what we need to do to keep ourselves safe and keep our neighbors safe. So that's kind of the COVID update. You'll get a note on Thursday, a memo just kind of reiterating a lot of this. Again, currently I think I have 5 staff members out. Again, the CDC, it's 5 days. They've shortened it to get back to work, so that's definitely helped us. And again, we're not seeing that, the residents are the contributing factor. It's the other way around. So, any other questions on COVID?
Yeah, I do have a question. And I know the science keeps changing and the knowledge keeps changing. They are now recommending different masks.
Yes. So that's
Different
a good.
than these?
No,
So
these are.
the KN95, and that's probably what you've seen. These medical grade masks that I'm wearing are still, from what I've seen from the county and the state, still very permissible. The recommendation is to go to that format. The cloth masks, if that's all you have access to, it is better than nothing. But these masks, and if you need these masks, please let us know, and we can try to help provide those to you. Do you need some help there, Marion?
Fine. Is there any chance of getting those masks?
Yes, we definitely are working on that. I don't know, I'm sure you've seen the news as well, that the hulls are being distributed and things of that nature. So we have, you know, a very, we do have a significant pile, a significant amount of these types of masks as well as those masks. So I'm looking at our burn rates as far as what our staff needs and things of that nature, to see how we can get those to you as independent residents.
That would be nice.
So
But they don't come color coordinated.
they aren't color coordinated, unfortunately, and I don't suggest you doing a Sharpie on the outside because that may lead to other things, which I don't want. But white goes with everything, right? So, what else? What other questions do you have about COVID? And I'm happy to not talk about COVID either. So if we're done, we can be done, and we can move on and chat about other things that are going on in the community.
How about the salon?
Yes.
Two hard-hitting questions.
This one is
Right off the bat.
Thank you.
So you unfortunately will be seeing the memo. Our salon operator has decided that they can no longer find staff and operate their salon.
Oh, no.
So I've been in discussions with them to make sure that they work out their 60-day contractual obligation to East Castle Place, which they have. I signed, they signed, and that's how you terminate the agreement. They emailed me on Tuesday night last week saying that they couldn't find staff and they could no longer provide service. I won't share with you my initial words that I may or
Did you
may.
guess?
Yeah, I'll leave that to the imagination. But then I went and spoke with actually their owners, because the owners didn't even reach out to me. They had somebody else reach out to me. So I took the week to try and work with them to navigate the termination clause in their contract and still provide their 60-day notice so that salon services could be provided throughout that time, regardless of what that looked like. I get COVID happens and that they are working through that. Trust me, I know I've been going through it for 2 years. I think at this point they've gone silent. I'm taking other actions, unfortunately, and at the end of the day, the frustrating part for me is that the services aren't available. And so that's my next step, is to make sure that I can get an operator in here that can provide the services. My fear is that I can probably get somebody in here relatively quickly. My fear is what kind of operators were in here. So, and again, I didn't leave on bad terms with the former operator. We left amicably, they left on their right terms, I left on our right terms, and I told them, I said, you know what, our paths are probably gonna cross, healthcare's small enough world. And they said, absolutely, and they said, you know what, we know that there's things on our side, things on your side, vice versa. If we do this again, I think that we can rebuild the relationship, rebuild the trust. I've reached out to a few other Leading Age Wisconsin, for instance, who else is operating. I have a call into the Catholic home who's operating there, because ultimately I do not want to hold a license for a salon as East Castle Place. That's why it's always been a contracted service for as long as time, because there's certain licenses, requirements, things of that nature. And so, unfortunately, it appears that we're going to be down stylists for some time. Now, with that being said, if you do have a personal stylist or a salon contact, or maybe the barber or beautician that did your hair before, let me know. I'd love to get in touch with them, and I'm looking at avenues to see how it can be provided sooner rather than later, not just in your home. And so again, in order to operate the salons, there has to be a license. But at the same time, if the salons aren't licensed, they may be available for personal use. But we'll see what that looks like. You will see that in the memo as well. And you're hearing it from me first because, unfortunately, I just don't think that the operator is going to provide the appropriate. I may be wrong, and I'm not going to turn them away if all of a sudden they say that they're going to be here next week to provide services, because again, it's better than what I have to offer you. I never doubted the workmanship and the what they did. I think they ran into a few bumps that I understand, but unfortunately, when I got the notice that they just said they can't do it anymore, I was very frustrated. So, to say the least. So, I'm sorry. That's a change that I made, that I thought was going to be better for the community, and it's not. And so it's frustrating because ultimately it affects you. I would care a lot less if it only affected myself, but it affects our residents and you. So that's where I need to work through this as quickly as possible. But I also do want to find a long-term solution and not just a quick fix either, because I'm afraid that quick fix is going to lead to continued frustration, and then it's going to be, well, you provided the services, but I can't use them because X, Y, and Z. So, so we'll see, but do know that is a top priority. I wish I had different news.
217.
But if you have a good barber or beautician, I've even reached out to the former beautician that used to be in the salon 4.5 years ago, to see if she had a change of heart, which doesn't appear, but if she had known anybody or knew anybody. So. What else? What other topics are on your mind?
What other good news do you want to ask?
What about the dining room as they deliver meals to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Can we get rid of the styrofoam?
Yes, so the styrofoam has been a topic of conversation even at the resident council level, and I know the Green Committee as well. The issue has been a little bit supply chain related. The compostables are difficult to get right now. It's not even as much as a cost driver, but the costs are about 10 times more for compostables than they are for styrofoam right now. The other piece that we do have, and again I'll put this plea out, is those green containers that you sometimes would get your meals in. We've lost some of those, or they haven't been returned, and so those are pieces that are reusable, and that will get rid of your styrofoam as well. But I want to say we've gone from like 5,000 containers down to 500.
Oh my God.
Somewhere along the way, and so we are looking at ordering more of those. Those are on back order right now, but that would also eliminate the need for styrofoam. So I asked Majarka, and I would ask you too as residents, what would you think of having actual physical hard coffee cups that you could use during continental breakfast? Because styrofoam cups is one thing that I'm seeing that then you could return, and then we would wash them obviously each and every day. Obviously you all can bring your own coffee cups as well. That's always an option. But would you be open to that? I mean, it would be a cup that would be sanitized through our high pressure sanitized wash machine each and every day. It would be something that you'd set back after you were done having your cup of coffee in the library or whatever. Thoughts? I don't know, I mean,
Is there some way to get that? Because apparently people have these
green containers.
green containers in their homes.
Mhm.
I know we can't break into their homes and search.
Yeah.
The Green Container Committee.
Right.
But, go ahead.
No, that's a good point. The green containers, we do have a spot now in the cloakroom
I saw that.
where you can return them. So if for some reason you did have 10 that you're holding on to and you're like, oh, I can't give these all back at once, you can casually drop them off and nobody will know the difference. Also, if you have a number of them, you can definitely just leave them outside your door and we'll pick them up and wash them. So unfortunately, I think some have maybe been thrown away thinking that they may be not reusable. But again, that's hopefully not the case, and hopefully, it's been interesting if we have some family members move out. Teresa's always saying, hey, if you see any green containers, let us know. We'll take those back from you. But I think the other piece is some residents may be using them as storage, containers for leftovers and different uses. So, yeah.
I will also say, when we moved in, we ordered our, third night here, we ordered dinner, and it came in those wonderful green containers, and I thought, these are incredible, and I rinsed it out.
Right.
I had no idea if you're supposed to throw them away, but I thought, I'm not throwing this away, but there was no
Communication back to you.
communication when I was new to say,
Good to know.
so I used them for a few weeks, and then somebody said, oh, you can return them. I thought, well, okay, because I thought, I'm not gonna throw these away.
Right.
Right. Is there some,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is there some way to incentivize people to return them? With,
A free brownie.
something,
Donut?
like they do
Donut.
in, gun
Yeah.
buybacks.
Yeah, done by.
Yeah.
You could do,
No, maybe a free dessert or something.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess I've never thought about it that way, to incentivize people to return them.
yeah.
The caretakers have to know too, not to throw them away.
Yeah, definitely. And I know that we've communicated that out. But that brings me back to that resident communication and the resident handbook, in adding something to that
Well,
regarding.
there's so much information in there to read when you're new.
Right.
You might also consider, even in the recycling, in the garbage room,
Yeah.
over the recycling saying, or the garbage saying, don't throw out the, whatever,
Yeah.
some other way of saying, please don't put those in the trash, I don't know.
That's another thing, the trash. When are they gonna put labels? for
It's
these-
there now.
Oh, it is?
We have a brand new trash room and it looks really great.
Oh, okay. And then a list of what's recyclable?
Well, I think there's a sign there of that, I can't be
Yeah.
sure of.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you want to speak, I know that this has been something that you've been working on.
Yeah, I have been working with Eric on it for a really long time, and he did start, I wanna say around Thanksgiving time, actually, and he fixed up the one on the first floor of Contemporary. And, on the first floor, what you'll find now is the garbage and the recycling, with signs on the wall, and yes, the signs do have a good bit of what, to direct people what to put where. One of the holdups had been the mix-up when there was a changeover in contractors, and for a while we didn't have anyone. I kind of think that's what's really started the problem as big as it got, because they weren't collecting our stuff. And East Castle was having, our staff was having to literally take it out to the street, and it was just a mess. And then things kind of stayed that way. But we do have a contractor now, and we do know what that contractor, we need to work on finding out more closely exactly what they will or won't take. But the signs are a very good start. Eric has agreed to have his staff always place, whatever the room, the recycling is gonna be at the extreme right, and the garbage will be to the left. On the fourth floor, there are actually 2 garbage cans
Yeah.
up there.
And one recycling.
And I would say the best labeling so far on the cans themselves, as well as the signs above them. And ultimately, all of the rooms are gonna be like that. They've finished the painting in all of the rooms now.
Okay.
And,
Oh,
the
that's
third,
nice.
excuse me?
They look nice.
Thank you. Yeah, I think they've done a very nice job,
Mm-hmm.
and appreciate your support too, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, the trash debacle of East Castle Place, I mean, Eric handled it as well as possible, but it really started when Waste Management took over and bought out Advanced. And let's just say that transition was not smooth. And unfortunately, then our compactor, they broke that, and then that was down, and that just led to a number of things. So, no, yeah, Eric's been working on that. I know Dustin, our painter, finished up
Yes,
he might have one or two more rooms. So
The contemporary room is, the contemporary
I have to
building
go
to
rooms,
trash.
those 4 are painted.
are done. Okay, good.
So they're ready now for the signage and so forth.
Yeah.
Eric told me, after our council meeting,
Are you going?
that his crew is scheduled to clean all of the recycle bins and stuff tonight.
Yep.
And there's going to be an article as soon as I write it in Don's newsletter, sharing with everybody a little bit of this information.
Fantastic.
And we're also gearing up to work on Earth Day, and we'll
Yep.
definitely fold some educational stuff.
The minor issue is, they put the signs up on the wall, and then when they put the bins in, they put the lids up, and that covers up
Well,
the
we're
sign.
still working on that. In fact, I did send Eric an email about that, because the first time I checked the rooms, it was like, first of all, it was like, holy smokes, this is, we're very happy. But all of the bins, both the garbage and the recycle, were open and down between the wall and the bin. So it was impossible to close even the trash, which we want the trash closed to contain odors and just for neatness. But we want the recycling open for convenience, and because it's cleaner materials and so forth. So I told him that, and then I think it was just last night, I went and checked them all, the rooms, and all of the lids, including the recycle, were down. So it's a transition for the staff too, but I think he's gonna have things better scheduled, for one thing, as far as what his staff does and how and when, and that will help. And if you don't mind,
Exactly what they're going to take and not take, because a lot
Yes.
of things are, say they're recyclable, but they're not,
yes.
or they don't take them.
I do still need to get Eric involved, maybe come to one of our meetings and share with us, so we can pass it on to everybody, those details. For example, styrofoam is the big bugaboo. Our new company says they're single stream, meaning that they'll take everything, but they don't mean styrofoam. And so that confuses people, because some styrofoam has the number 6.
It does,
Yes,
yes.
it does. A lot of companies won't take anything with a 6 on it, but our company has said that they do. And I think we need a little bit closer communication with them to be sure of what they really take and don't.
Maybe it would
But-
be helpful at some point when you find it out from the company, literally to get a printed thing to each resident.
Yes, I
Because
think
I
so
would
too.
tape it inside my kitchen cabinet and say,
Yeah.
oh, this is
I-
not.
Yes, and I'm thinking in the handbook too, we need to put a lot more of that detail.
It was always a struggle in our condominium, people would forget or put the wrong
Sure.
stuff, yeah.
The thing about it is, you have to know who your contractor is, because it changes from contractor to contractor. And even what the city of Milwaukee will take, I understand they only take 3 of the numbers. I think 1, 2, and I don't know. But it's different, can be different everywhere, so. That should all work out very well.
All right.
And more to come from the environmental committee. And new members, we're having a meeting. I haven't been able to contact everybody, but anyone who's interested, we're gonna meet this Friday in the Lindsay room at 2:00. And, we're happy to have new members. So. And old new members. new old members.
And old members.
Everybody.
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 All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. What other questions do you have for Marion? Just kidding. What other questions are out there?
I have an appointment for a haircut Friday. Is there any chance there will be somebody there?
Libby, I'm sorry. I mentioned I don't know because our salon kind of appears that they up and left. So I'm working through that as quickly as possible.
Well, I'll go, and if there is someone there, I'll let them cut it.
Okay.
If there's nobody there, that's it.
Okay. That's fair. I'll hopefully have a final answer by Thursday.
Just prepare for us all to look shaggy. in the
No. And that's where if we need to provide transportation to some salons and things of that nature, again, we'll try to assist, and that's where I'll work with Scott to see what's available. If that's a Lyft ride, that would be no charge to you. Again, we want to make sure the service that you expect, it's something that we need to be able to provide. So I apologize.
If there's a volunteer here, I will accept her.
All right, a volunteer. I forget who asked me. That's if I cut hair, and I said, "Well, I can cut hair." But I don't think you want me cutting
Never
hair. So no.
Well, I snivelled at my own, but I'm not gonna cut anybody else's.
Yeah. So, what else? So there is a State of the Castle meeting on Thursday, and we are going to be having roughly 20 individuals, 20 to 25. It's kind of that first come, first serve. It'll also be live streamed. That'll be in Lindsay Hall at 1 o'clock, and so that's going to kind of get us into the, that February calendar. I won't speak about Saturday nights, Packers lost. We won't talk about that, but we do have a little Super Bowl party planned on the Sunday, the 13th or 14th, whatever that second Sunday of February is. But getting back to some of those things. So yeah, the State of the Castle. I haven't seen the agenda. I don't know if there's any questions that's submitted. I will have an update on kind of the renovations and the different things that were going on to keep you abreast of that, and I'm sure a number of other announcements and updates from various directors.
I don't know if this is any of our business, but can you give us any insights as to where you stand in finding someone to take Laura's position?
Absolutely. So again, that question was about the Director of Community Life position that's been vacated, Laura Wengler's old position. And so I've had 2 interviews with 2 individuals that have been passed along from Jen McEwen. Jen is our Human Resources Director. She is the first phone screen. She screened about, I'd say at this point, probably 8 to 10 candidates, of which 2 have been passed along. The second interview is myself, Mike Brever, Teresa Jenkins, and Majarka. And then there's a third interview process with another group, including the managers within that department. We had a strong candidate today, so we'll see. I'm looking forward. I think we have another 2 strong candidates that'll be interviewing with us, here at the end of the week. But we are looking to fill and find the right individual for that position. And like I said, in the meantime, we're fortunate to have a very strong team in community life area. You'll meet James Green. Fulfilled the role that Cooper vacated when Cooper became the marketing coordinator. And so James will join us at 4 o'clock to the resident committee. But that'll give us further support on the independent living side. And then obviously Scott, Mike, Maureen, and the fantastic community life committee has been making sure programming is still going on. But we don't have a candidate selected yet. We're not early on in the process. I feel good about the traction we're getting and getting some very qualified individuals. So
There's actually people applying for the job, huh?
yes, absolutely. the qualified individuals, of which Jen has probably screened out 8 to 10 of qualified, we've probably gotten 50 to 60 resumes.
Really?
But
Wow.
I mean, but people just kind of put their resume out there, and
Oh.
you know, we've changed up some of the language that we've used to attract the right individuals. But the job market, I mean, don't get me wrong, staffing is still one of the most difficult parts of this business. But there are candidates and there's people looking. So,
Is
you
it
know,
gonna be male or female, doesn't matter?
oh yes, we do not discriminate, male, female, race, religion, sex, all of those things. No, we are open to anybody. And when I say anybody that's qualified, obviously, that meets the criteria of the East Castle Place, but does not matter race and ethnicity, sexual orientation, you know, man, female, age, any of that.
Some of us might wanna do it.
Yeah, right,
I
right.
haven't had any internal resident applications, if you're wondering.
A small follow-up question,
Yeah.
again, being relatively new. If you want to suggest an activity, then you go to go to the new manager first and say, hey,
Yep.
Dave and I are gonna play bocce ball this summer, and we wanna see who else wants to play.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
absolutely.
how do you do that? You
That-
just,
That's as simple as either, I mean, right now, that's an email to me, if it's something more in the immediate, but otherwise, it's an email to that manager or
because
director.
my friend who's moving in on the 4th floor, she says, where's the Mahjong group meet? I said, I don't know.
Yeah,
So
we don't
anyways-
have one of those yet.
Okay, well, I'm just
but
saying.
we will, so.
Okay.
So it's those types of things that we want, and again, as those ideas are coming up, feel free to send me an
Okay,
email in the
okay.
immediate.
But
But
we're not playing bocce ball in the winter.
I was gonna say bocce ball,
No.
it might find a tough
No, it's
road to
not
go.
in the winter, no.
But no, like mahjong and things of that nature. Again, as those groups, I mean, sometimes they're just naturally kind of born, and residents take care of themselves. But otherwise, we can put it on the calendar. We can find somebody that knows what mahjong or knows how to play mahjong, and kind of do a leader type course.
Okay.
But that's all through that director. And
Okay.
that's just a simple email. Stop by the office, knock on the door. Any modes of communication work.
Can I add to that too? If you wanna contact Barb
Barb Hill.
Hill, yes, thank you. She's the chair of the council's lifestyle committee, and they work very closely, so
Mhm.
that
That's
might
another
take
great
a little
contact.
bit off of your plate too.
Yeah.
She could funnel it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. What else? Any other updates? Yeah.
If there's a minute, I just wanna mention to everybody something new that is new to the residents for sure. Quite new to me, in fact. But Eric has already contracted with a composting company, and he and the dining services are recycling compost separate and above everything that goes on in the trash rooms. And he has suggested that he will place a container probably by the loading dock. We already have 4 on the premises, 4 recycling big ones. And he will place one of them if there's enough interest from us down there, where we will have to take it down ourselves, but we can take we'll be able to take our kitchen scraps and stuff down there, and he'll fold it in with what East Castle is already doing. So I think that, I know that there are some people that are interested. It's, I think he's gonna find there needs to be enough interest that they will need to attend to the container, and, you know, not just have one piece of chicken in the bottom at the end
There
of the
you
week or something like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So I think that's exciting, a lot of, and the environmental committee is wanting to work on that too between now and April especially, as a new program that he wants to roll
Would the
out.
plan be to use the compost as fertilizer in the gardens?
No, we don't keep the compost,
Oh,
unless, you know, and we don't even do the composting.
oh,
There's a
okay.
company called,
Compost Crusaders.
thank you, Compost Crusaders. that have been doing it quite a while in Milwaukee.
Oh,
And they'll collect it in the same way that garbage and recycling gets collected, but they have, you know, just the organic materials that they want in the composting. And probably we will want to maybe have a speaker or something like that come in to let people know how it works and what we need to do.
you probably need to let people know what kinds of things.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
because it wouldn't take everything, I'm
right,
sure.
right. And how to collect it, most people do it, I understand, in their apartments in a small container for the week.
Right on
And,
the
you know, you
sink,
don't
a
have
little
to,
pot with a
yeah.
cover.
And so we need to get a little bit more information before we
Okay.
roll it out, but.
In the State of the Union, will you be talking more about, progress here and what's happening?
Yes, so the state of the castle.
Yes.
Yes.
the castle.
Yep. So in yours, are you speaking about the renovations and? Yep, absolutely. So we will definitely be updating everyone on kind of the renovations as well as kind of the time frame. I can share with this group. We'll hear a little bit about this on Thursday, but our sales, we're at 17 pre-sales out of 30. So the team is doing a really, really great job. And so residents, 17 have committed to brand new entrance fee apartments at that 10% deposit. We are out for financing right now to different banks, and we are working towards a guaranteed maximum price on construction. So the drawings have all been final. It's gone to C.G. Schmidt, our general contractor. They have gone out and are starting to obtain bids for that, and we're looking to move forward beginning in April. So that'll be, thank you so much. That'll be here before we know it.
Right?
And so I know that the interior design firm is hopefully going to be sending some chairs here in the near future for the dining room that you can physically test out and let us know what you think and which ones you would prefer. I think that there's an artwork piece that we'll definitely want to gain some input on from a resident standpoint. Furniture is really the most pressing piece right now because lead times are anywhere between 6 and 10 months on some things. And so we want to make sure that we get those things taken care of. But Bradford Terrace will be the first starting point. And so right now we're working with employees, and if you have grandkids or kids that are renovating or college or whatnot, basically we have some appliances, cabinets, things of that nature in Bradford Terrace that Mike is selling for pennies on the dollar. And all we ask is you reach out to Mike and say, my son would be interested. The son, daughter, whoever comes in, they say, I want this, this, and this. Give us $50. It's yours. You haul it. If it breaks by the time you get it home, you keep it. There is a strong no return policy in place. But if that's something of interest of you, to you, I mean, we've taken the things that we want. There is still some stores that we have to get, work through, but ultimately, if you do have a grandson, granddaughter, son, daughter, friend that's looking for a fridge, a microwave, a stove, anything like that, let us know. We can probably find you one fairly reasonable.
Does that revenue go to the treasure chest?
It all goes to the treasure chest.
Okay.
What a wonderful idea.
I agree. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Anything else? All right. Well, thanks everyone. Stay warm. Stay inside if you can.